Nobody liked the strike. Not workers, not customers, not businesses. Nobody likes a strike.
Hi, my name is Rob Ashton. I'm a dock worker from BC, and I am a leadership candidate for the leader of the NDP. Why am I smiling so much? Is because Leah Gazan and the federal NDP have just put forward a bill to remove Section 107 out of the Labor Code. This is freaking fantastic.
I'm an elite. I'm a worker. I've always been a worker. I've always been in the middle class, and most of us are.
The Silver Bullet Podcast with your host, letter carrier, and shop steward, Pirate Jim.
My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner's son. And I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
With gratitude, mutual respect, and reciprocity, we acknowledge the ancestral home, culture, and oral teachings of the Treaty 7 signatories, which includes the Siksika Nation, Piikani Nation, Kaana Nation, the Ayithka Stony Nakota Nation, consisting of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Good Stony bands, and the people of the Tsuut'ina Nation. We also recognize the Métis people of Alberta Region 3, who call Treaty 7 their home. We respect all people who share, celebrate, and care for the Treaty 7 territory of Southern Alberta, and we honor the original caretakers of the land.
We'd rather be delivering the mail than clinging to these picket signs. We'd rather be traveling the streets than walking on these picket lines. A working class wage and some benefits that pay and keep our pensions right. We'd rather be delivering the mail than walking on these picket lines. Well, Canada Post, tell me where do we go now? We won't sign a damn thing till we get what we're owed now. Broke and your spending should slow down, but yet you pin it on us and leave us out in the cold now. We'd rather be delivering the mail than clinging to these picket signs. We'd rather be traveling the streets than walking on these picket lines. A working class wage and some benefits that pay and keep our pensions right. Rather be delivering the mail than walking on these picket lines. Yeah. Well, Canada Post, tell me where do we go now? We won't sign a damn thing till we get what we're owed now. You say the company's broke and your spending should slow down, but yet you pin it on us and leave us out in the cold now.
Woohoo! That was Humble Hab, a letter carrier out of Ontario. Hamilton, I think, are you? If you're watching Humble. Anyway, that'll take you back to December when we were out in the line. And today's another historic moment in our 329, did I put down, or 39? Welcome to the show. Aloha. And yeah, well, we're going back. We're going back to rotating strikes. If you hadn't heard yet, starting, well, tomorrow, but for us letter carriers, it's Tuesday. So report to your depots on Tuesday morning. And yeah, it'll be back to the regular. And what's going to happen, I have Brom coming on in a little bit, and we're going to talk more about the whole thing. But before we get to everything like that, I want to jump to updates, and let's talk with Tanya first, shall we?
This week in postal news, the union is moving from a nationwide strike into rotating strikes. So what's changed, you ask? Well, on Wednesday evening, Minister Lightbound, who is the minister responsible for Canada Post, finally sat down with the union. I give him credit. Well, I give him a little bit of credit. After months of meddling in the negotiation process, it seems that the government has finally realized that there's actually two parties involved. Nobody liked the strike. Not workers, not customers, not businesses. Nobody likes a strike. But you have to ask yourself this. Does the minister come to the table if the strike hadn't happened? Does the NDP table legislation to scrap Section 107 if the strike hadn't happened? Does Monsieur Blanchet hold the government's feet to the fire if the strike hadn't happened? You cannot effect profound change without radical action, and that's what this strike was about. Now, postal workers can get back to work, customers can have their letters and their parcels flowing again, and the union can get back to the job of negotiating with the corporation. And the government, they can mind their own business, because this is an A-B conversation and they need to see themselves out.
Mr. Speaker, today I'm so proud to table my bill to stop governments from abusing Section 107 of the Canadian Labour Code to force workers back to work. Whether it's Air Canada, Canada's ports, the railways, the message is always the same. When big corporations complain, the government caves. This is a direct violation of workers' rights, the right to strike and the right to free collective bargaining. These rights were won through generations of struggle and sacrifice, yet government after government violates the rights of workers whenever it's politically convenient. If members of Parliament truly believe in workers' rights, they must stop siding with corporate interests and commit to repealing Section 107. Because workers' rights, Mr. Speaker, are not optional. They are a foundation of a fair and just democracy. I encourage all members in the House to support my bill that will repeal Section 107 from the Canadian Labour Code once and for all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, 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 hear. I'm so excited about that, my friends, because I've been at this Section 107 thing, well, literally about a week before we got locked out in November/strike. And that was when I said, this has to be dealt with. This is garbage. So I ran in the election to shut down Section 107, and it looks like it took at least 7 strikes for us to figure this out. And my party, the NDP, we have now put up the Section 107 bill to remove it. The bill to remove Section 107. I'm speaking like Yoda today. So here's Rob Ashton.
Hi, my name is Rob Ashton. I'm a dock worker from BC, and I am a leadership candidate for the leader of the NDP. Why am I smiling so much is because Leah Gazan and the federal NDP have just put forward a bill to remove Section 107 out of the Labour Code. This is freaking fantastic. Big shout out to Don Davies, Alexander Boularice, the rest of the NDP caucus, as well as the Canadian Labour Congress. This is absolutely fantastic news, because all Section 107 is in there for is for the government to rule on behalf of their corporate people, supporters, and give so much more power to the employing class than to the working class. So this is a great move by the NDP. It's going to give power back to the workers in this country. So thank you very much. Positive step forward. A message to the Liberals and to the Conservatives. You both say that you work on behalf of working people. Well, now is your time to prove it.
So this is fantastic, the Section 107. Now, like Rob said, Now the Liberals and the Conservatives, well, the Conservatives need to step up and prove that they are truly for us, like Pierre said in the House yesterday, arguing about the jobs that have gone south because of the New Deal with Donald Trump and pipelines and such, which is a whole other topic to discover. But there was a lot of talk in the House yesterday about workers. So if you truly are for us, vote for this bill to pass when it comes up. And I'm looking forward to this little thing happening. All right.
Hey folks, we're just down here picketing at Purelator today, and that's why it's a beautiful day. Fun stuff. There's always one in a crowd. Had to deal with him. Tried to run us over, sort of, kind of, lightly. But anyway, what I'm actually here to talk to you about today is the moratorium. The moratorium on the closure of post offices. So, the moratorium on the closure of post offices is interesting because while I'm looking at the list, I'm wondering, like, something's not sitting right with me, and I'm wondering, why does the moratorium even exist? Well, so between 1987 and 1994, the corporation started franchising out post offices to anyone. And they franchised out almost 2,000 post offices in 7 years. So, like, you can do the math on that one. So I did the math, and that was basically one post office per working day for 7 years that they were closing. And the members of the community were appalled at that. So why does this moratorium exist? And I thought it was just to protect post offices that are in rural settings versus urban, but I don't think that's true. They closed over 1/3 of the post offices, or franchised them across the country in a very short period of time. So that's what I fully expect. Is I fully expect for them to be franchising all of the offices. Doesn't matter what community it's in. They're probably going to be getting rid of the CPAA offices. They're going to be getting rid of the CUPW offices, and they'll be franchising them to the lowest bidder. And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that the lowest bidder should be responsible for your mail or your parcels. I think it should be a community member who lives and works in your community. I think it should be someone with a security clearance, like we have. We're required to make a security clearance. So the moratorium looks like it was there to protect post offices in general, not just those in urban environments, because they want to get rid of the entire moratorium, not just deal with the ones that are appropriate. All right? Well, you have a great day. Thanks.
I forgot that James had talked about the moratorium, because later on in the show we're going to be going back in time to May of 2024, 6 months before the big November, and Doug spoke with the OGO committee about those mandates in those post offices, and they went. Members of Parliament asked him questions about all these things. It's quite interesting to see the change from May. Anyway, stick around for that. What's one other update here? Oh, right. Jim Gallant spoke with the media on Thursday in the morning. This is before the announcement came out in the evening about us going to rotating strikes.
When Doug Ettinger showed up in 2018, 2019, there were billions of dollars in the bank. The cupboard was full, and they decided that they were going to spend a whole bunch of money, and they were going to call it strategic spending. We're gonna update things. They built a plant in Scarborough, the Albert Jackson plant. You look at it, it's you can see 18-wheelers lined up for it seems like a mile there. New infrastructure. They bought some electric vehicles. They are always buying a lot of vehicles. We used to walk the mail. We don't anymore. So they were switching over to mobile routes. So all of a sudden you have a route that used to take, a $5 cab ride, and all of a sudden you need a $75,000 vehicle. Those are big costs. They show up on the corporation spreadsheet as correct spending, and there's nothing untoward, but it means that you've spent a lot of money and you didn't necessarily need to. You could have kept walking the mail. They ended up spending all the money that they said they were going to spend, and that was $4 or $5 billion at the time. And then all of a sudden, it became catastrophic loss.
That was the wrong interview, but it worked. It's just not in the the order and subject that I wanted, but whatever. This is the one that I was hoping for everyone to watch. And away we go.
With the federal government overnight, the minister responsible comes as the strike is now hitting 2 weeks. So what's next? Jim Gallant is back with us. Happy to have him. He's joining us from our studios in Ottawa. Hey, Jim, good to see you on this Thursday. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having us in.
All right, so what happened? Where do things stand? What's your take?
Well, the minister made an announcement a couple of weeks ago on Thursday that really hurt us and hurt the service in Canada. Canada Post has come back with an offer that was as bad as it has everything that was in their May offer that was rejected by 70% of the employees, and now they've added in a bunch of things where they want to be able to go to basically an alternate day delivery of the mail, and also be able to decide that they're not going to deliver on that alternate day. And they're trying to embed those in our collective agreements, and we're not happy about it. Basically, the offers that they've made look unacceptable at this point. We did have a meeting with the minister last night. A group of us from the union met with the minister and showed the minister Canada Post annual reports, which I doubt they're hundreds of pages long. Doubt that he read them, but we gave him excerpts that show that Canada Post is being dishonest about what they're reporting to the government, and that the numbers that they're using of losses of $10 million a day right now, and that they've lost a significant part of the parcel market, just aren't true. And the numbers are in their own reports, and the minister seemed interested in that.
Where do things go from here?
Well, we're hoping that the minister will do something about what we've shown him. We doubt that the Liberal government will like the fact that Canada Post management, Mr. Ettinger and Mr. Brisson, are not being honest. We're very concerned with those two individuals particularly. They've come from outside the organization, and there won't be labor peace while those two people are there at the top. They've lied to employees and lied to the government and lied to the public. So we need Canada Post. We need Canada Post to do something, come back with better offers. But we are providing more information to the minister about these things and our ideas. While we don't want the government to interfere in our negotiations, this minister particularly, Canada Post reports to him, and he should be well aware of what's going on before he had made the decisions that he made, and we hope that he can walk those decisions back.
Hey, I got one other one for you, Jim, because I know you've been on the show a lot, and you and I have talked a number of times. I'm curious whether you think, in the current environment, it's realistic for Canadians to have, daily doorstep delivery. And I appreciate that many Canadians don't have that anymore, but as you know, millions still do. Is that something that needs to be reconsidered, just in practical terms?
Well, yeah, this is the public service that we need for the country, and I guess the question gets to be, look at all the other carriers out there, from the fly-by-nights that throw it on your front lawn to the big multinational companies. They bring it directly to your house. They bring it every day, and there's none of this, we'll put it off till the weekend or alternate day. You get it that day, and you get it to your person. That's what the service should be too. That's what most Canadians want that. But usually when the question is put to Canadians, it's, do you want to pay for it? Well, everybody wants free delivery, but that's not the reality of it. Delivery has to be paid for if it's paid for by the customer on the sending end or the receiving end.
Hey, Jim, appreciate you taking the time to get to our studios. As always, we'll talk again.
Thank you.
All right. How you doing, Brom?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Woo. I don't know. This computer is driving me crazy.
No, I understand.
So it takes me an hour to get the one little file uploaded into this little media player here, and then I realize that it's just too big. That's why. But it took me a long time to figure that out. But anyway.
Well, that's okay.
Well, so since you're president there, how are things going for you after last night's announcement? Like, did you know about it before last night? Like, have you been prepared, or are you as like taken aback as the rest of us?
Taken aback, but I think that we saw, the writing sort of becoming to be on the wall that something was changing. I know we haven't had a whole lot of updates, but it seemed like the communication had changed all of a sudden. And of course, there were rumors going around that the NDP was meeting and all this kind of stuff. So it seemed like something was in the works. So I wasn't caught completely off guard by this happening. But I am surprised at the decision. And, there's total mixed feelings on the picket line, which I just left from here to come here. And, many, of course, are happy that they're going back to work because obviously they're feeling like they couldn't afford it. But some of those same people and even others that you would not expect were very disappointed. Very disappointed in the idea of going to a rotating strike, and because we were obviously on a full strike. So it's a bit of mix, but I think people. I noticed a sort of an easing of tensions on the picket line today.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
I had mixed feelings about all of it too. I mean, I guess for me, my message would be to everybody that's like angry right now or conflicted is that all I'm doing to make sure to keep my emotions in check is to focus on who's doing this to us. And now it's even no longer Doug. It's the minister, Lightbound, because he could have easily yesterday after that meeting done something to alleviate the tensions. And instead, what's he say? Oh yeah, no, sorry, we won't be. I won't be stopping the mandate changes without a mandate review. At least that's like, really. Is there not going to, like, my next confusion with all of this is that because of what he said and did, does that mean there won't be a mandate review now, or that it's now kind of biased and it will happen?
My
can't
thought.
Figure that part out.
My thought is that. What they need to do or what they're trying to push through is outside of both the collective agreement and the mandate review. It's their end goal, right? They said that many times during the Kaplan Commission, is that it's the collective agreement and the moratoriums, sort of the mandate that get in the way of them making the changes that they wanted. So they were having no luck with the collective agreement. The mandate review, I still believe, is scheduled. We haven't had any updates on that. But to me, it's, government working in collusion with Canada Post to get them what they need, no matter what. They're trying to push this through before there can be a mandate review, and they want the collective agreement to be put through for that same reason. But if they're not settled, they're going to go ahead anyway. And Canada Post was making that argument all the way throughout the commission. They just needed government to be on board, and that's what this is. So just like anything, it seems like it. Many people seem to think, well, this is in effect. Well, it's not in effect until it is. And even when it's in effect, we still have the ability to fight it. Look what happened to door-to-door last time. They actually started to implement the measures to convert them, and it was only after that we converted them, that we created the moratorium and had the Liberals impose a moratorium on the closures, on the conversions of door-to-door delivery to group mailboxes. So the way I look at it is we still have a window. Obviously, we have to fight this and be able to do something to stop it. And we have the window to do so. Sorry about that. And we have the window to do so. But, obviously they're trying to go ahead with it as if it's legitimate to just do this. Right now, it feels like they're just disregarding the mandate review and they're disregarding collective bargaining and going ahead to try to put the cart before the horse to some degree. So I don't know. It doesn't officially start these things, but it sounds like the government is going ahead with the lifting of the moratoriums, and it's going to be up to us to now say you can't do that. You haven't done the proper steps first.
And it's just like, it's weird because what's there to review? Like, those are the big chunks. All these things that they're changing with a stroke of a pen are all things that we were supposed to be reviewing. My brain is so like, what? This doesn't make sense.
They're circumventing the process. They're not only circumventing bargaining, they're circumventing the public consultation. And they're trying to get it pushed through.
Which is totally undemocratic.
Hell, it's the worst, and that's the idea of a mandate review. I know CUPW for years has been, I don't want to say against a mandate review, but certainly cautious that mandate reviews can be done without public input, and feel that this needs to be done with the public's input. So if you're changing the frequency of delivery and you're doing things like this can't be something that you just announce. It has to be something that goes through the mandate review. So I assume they're trying to push it through and create a biased review without the public's input, so that this is all just going to get rubber stamped. And that's where we need to step in and say, hey, look, this can't just be rubber stamped like this. Not only do you have to come out and bargain to actually get an agreement, you have to consult with the public and have it done in a robust way, which they are not. And I know because we spoke to Liberal MPs during the campaign, and they were very interested, as Liberals tend to do. They're very interested in this idea, but they took it and ran with it and acted unilaterally in an authoritarian way rather than actually consulting the public, which is what we talked about.
Yeah, I just think about a couple weeks ago with here in Local 710, where a bunch of, I think it was about 12 of us, we went to Corey Horner's office, and we had a long 90-minute conversation. I think maybe I've talked about this before, but 90-minute conversation with his staffer, and she asked us all these questions, and we never even actually finished because it was getting so long. And it was just the feeling we were getting was that they were listening, and that they were taking all this in. And the biggest question that Corey had was, what was our... This really makes me laugh. What was our vision for the future of Canada Post? And like, so we gave it to them, and she wrote it down, and obviously that piece of, that 6 pages of notes did not get across the floor a couple of seats down to Mr. Lightbound. From Corey, because he sits just up a little bit behind him. I've got all their seats memorized now.
Right.
Which again now brings me to the OGO committee from yesterday and the day before, is that they've been trying to organize getting Mr. Lightbound in to see them. And they were talking about yesterday, October 23rd is when he's going to sit first. And there was a lot of pushback that, I think I have the video later on, if it's fit right. Now my videos I've uploaded aren't fitting the screen right, so when you see them, everything's zoomed in. So it's quite a comedy, this show. It is. Anyway, but they're also talking about bringing him in on October 30th, and the chair keeps talking about, he keeps saying his mandate, but he says his mandate. So I'm trying to figure out, are they reviewing Mr. Lightbound's mandate, which I don't understand, because I would assume that would be the Prime Minister giving him the ministerial job of all that. So I don't know, which to me means maybe that's the beginning of the mandate review, and it's OGO, so that would be, that's all the financials, right?
Costs and estimates.
They're talking about.
From what I understand, so sorry, Jim, if you were going to finish something there.
That's okay. No, I'm done.
From what I understand is that his mandate given by Carney was to find efficiencies within the public sector. I know that Carney had given that mandate to anybody, to all Crown corporations. But that, I believe, the name of his title would mean that he's sort of the Elon Musk sort of coming in to do the government efficiency thing, right? The Doge thing, in a sense. He's there to try to find efficiencies. And I remember the number when they had said it. They said it was going to be 15% reduction in spending or in costs. And at the end of his little press conference after making his announcement, Lightbound had said, well, we found about 15 to 20% efficiency in this process. So I think that's his mandate. I can't speak for it in particular because I didn't hear the comment about the mandate. But when they speak to his mandate, I feel like that is what he is mandated to do, is to find these efficiencies. And he's probably hit a home run in his own government there to have done this to us.
Yeah, totally. And I'm smiling right now because in the House yesterday, Pierre Poilievre, I've already kind of spoken about that, went at Mr. Carney there about jobs and all the jobs leaving in the last week from Calgary, for instance. But, and this really makes me laugh because I think about this whole thing when we were in the election time, and the Public and Canada Post and what he says in other videos just yesterday and at the beginning of the week. Well, to prove that Pierre is a piece of Pierre, this is what Carney says about industry in Canada. And all I kept thinking when he's saying this is, I want to yell between. Public is the word that I use back. Oh, is this the one? Oh, yeah.
I would like to inform the leader of the opposition that there is a thing called
and watch them all join in.
sector.
They go crazy over the private sector.
And they're really happy about it too. Really
I know,
happy.
And when you watch, I have the whole back and forth, but I just can't fit it in today's show because I don't know. Anyway, I want to show that the other parties are fighting. They're not. The Conservatives aren't speaking about us personally, but they are speaking about workers, and of course it's energy related, so it's energy jobs, which is fantastic. I love jobs. I love all the jobs, and we can't be losing jobs for sure. But I find that his big was that the private sector, if you hear him, he says the private sector will solve it.
That scares me.
So that makes me go right back to when he first took over and he got rid of the Labor Ministry and it became the Ministry of Jobs and Families. And that part about jobs to me means right to work. And to me, if it's the private sector that's going to dictate what we do, right to work.
Oh.
And I'm not sure if those of you watching know what right to work means, but it means basically, I'm going to give you $5 an hour, but at least I'm giving you a job. You have the right to work.
Yeah.
So they convince you to take that $5 job when you should be making 15, right? That's what right to work is. And I see that coming with all of the things that he's doing. Everything is becoming privatized. And this labor, he's also giving some other ministers these little titles of labor industry. Like he's throwing in these words with people. And now we've got Patty talking. We've got Lightbound. And there's another gentleman, the new guy, a younger guy, glasses and crazy cool hair. But he was speaking yesterday about labor. It's
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy what they've done. They've changed it up. But the crazy thing is seeing the different allegiances and alliances. Now, obviously, as you mentioned, with the different political parties, it's interesting to see the Conservatives come into this. Obviously, they saw a major sway, like when they were elected. Well, I mean, the Conservatives did not win the election, but the seats that they got in large part was Labor, and their Labor was switching over to Conservatives, but. It's a scary trend because we know that what's in their platform. Their platform is to privatize and to get rid of public services.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see because political allegiances sway, and when we lobby people to talk about the future of the post office, it doesn't matter your political stripes because you have constituents no matter where you live. You have constituents that are representing you, or that you're representing if you are an MP. And I think that part of the Hands Off My Post Office, part of the Delivering Community Power and Save Canada Post campaigns, the benefit has been that we've touched base with all parties and we haven't made it partisan. We've touched all parties. And so now you're starting to see a petition come out. There was a petition, a parliamentary petition from a Conservative, I believe his name was Giwani out of Ontario, pushing for the expansion of services in exactly the way that we've been asking, with respect to postal banking and rural services and senior check-ins, et cetera. So, obviously we got to be careful because we need to have all people on board, no matter the party. But at the same time, we always have to be aware that it's easy for them, the opposition party, to jump on the hate for the Liberals because we all share it. But, we'd have to keep our eyes open and really be careful to not really truly believe what they're saying. And again, I'm not trying to be partisan when I say this. I'm specifically relating to the fact that in their platform, they talk about getting rid of public services. So on one hand, we do have to get all party support, but on the other hand, we have to watch out for the Conservatives because, I mean, they launched one of the biggest attacks on our post office not too long ago. So interesting time.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking, whoops, I'm about to hit the button here. And then talking about those other, here we go anyway. Let's pause this before I do it. Those other political parties, the Bloc has really stepped up. Oh,
yes.
I don't want to talk over here.
Kawa Chikamajnitasinan. Mr. Speaker, postal workers are saying the following. The federal government's repeated interventions into our negotiations have completely ruined them. Each time the government interfered, it only made it harder to negotiate a new collective agreement. Each time the government has taken action,
All right. Did that
actually
go
made the
work?
parties
Because
further
it's
apart.
jumping around for me.
I heard it.
Speaker,
Okay, well,
Ottawa caused this
I'm going to
conflict.
start it over because
Ottawa is
it was like
responsible
nothing was
for the lack of
responding on
postal
my end. So
services. Does the minister understand the harm that he has caused by dismantling this public service? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. I can't believe what I'm hearing, Mr. Speaker. We are not dismantling a public service. We are saving it. There has been a deficit in this service, and currently Canada Post is losing $10 million a day. This labour conflict has been going on for 20 months. The responsible thing to do is to transform Canada Post and be able to bring back this vital service and make it viable once again. The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, the Minister loves telling us that the strike at Canada Post goes back to last year, or that there was a strike last year as well, and he keeps telling us that the government is losing $10 million a day. But what he's forgetting is that during last year's strike, small businesses criticized the government sharply, reminding it that the strike was causing losses of $100 million a day. Does the minister understand that by paralyzing our postal services, he is harming our small businesses, our regions, and the most vulnerable Canadians? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I know that all parties involved care deeply about the financial viability of Canada Post. The Bloc Québécois doesn't seem to care about that at all. On the contrary, they seem to think that it's okay if Canada Post loses $10 million a day. We don't think that's all right. What we're asking the union, what we're asking management, is to come to an agreement to ensure that an institution which is so important for the country finally finds a way to be financially sustainable. It's not acceptable for it to lose so much money, taxpayers' money.
this machine likes to cut off the videos at the end.
He's sure fulfilling his mandate. Hey, he's transforming government. There, I saw it on there. Government transformation, of course, public works procurement. So
yeah, he's got a whole title with that in there, transformation.
I love and I say that very sarcastically, the gaslighting at the end. The Bloc seems to be okay with the fact that they're losing money and all this, but that's just framing. He's just framing it. And he's doing everything he can to gaslight, and you can tell that that's happening. But of course, easy for us to say because we know it. But I'm glad that they said that. I'm glad that the Bloc are bringing it up, and I know from going way back to other campaigns that our members and our comrades in Quebec have had a great relationship with the Bloc Québécois for any of these issues, and it's great to see them and the NDP going hard in the House about it and at question period and beyond. But I'm glad they mentioned that the government is to blame. I'm glad that they said that. Of course, it's not surprising to hear him say, I can't believe it. We're just transforming it. But I think that's part of the problem here, too. Now, I've been guilty of this. We've been talking about privatization like this is the goal. But it doesn't have to be privatization for it to be cut and for austerity to be brought in. It doesn't have to be privatization. It doesn't have to be the full dismantling, though I do believe it is. But every step that they take to do what they're doing, they blame us, the workers, for the problem that they've been put in or that management has put us in. And then those services are going to be gone. And they ask the right questions. You're the ones that are causing this. What do you have to say? And he just gaslit. That was very frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Well, and then I found here the video for the OGO date setting, and the reason I was like, why am I showing this again? Because they're just kind of arguing over the dates. But PQ, the Bloc again, got in there and started fighting because they want him to come in sooner. And the Conservatives, actually, they both want him to come in sooner, and they're trying to put priority for us over the other things. But let's see if this is working, because it's just black.
We had asked for witnesses for Canada Post study, but because it's being pushed back because of the labor issue, they've also committed to turning in a report to the government, I think, within 45.
Okay, that's my question. I'm going to pause that for a sec, because he keeps talking about, well, they can't come in because of the labor issue. what is preventing them from coming in to speak to these MPs about our situation? The only thing I can think of is that he wants to keep our negotiations private or something. But I don't know. What do you think? Why should he not be able to like continue to waste time like this?
I mean, unless I'm missing something, there's no reason why. It's not as if they're out there bargaining solid, hard, and that Doug Ettinger is in there doing that. They've got their negotiators too. They have every possibility to be there, as far as I'm aware, that they could be coming in, and Doug Ettinger could be answering this. But it's stall tactic. I think that there's a plan that we're not aware of. I think there's a timeline.
I just thought about it too, because this is a finance committee thing. I bet you they want to see the new Canada Post plan before they can approve things, because they approve budgets here too.
Yep.
So
and that's why they're talking 45 days.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is. See, now the pieces are clicking for me. All right, well, I'll let him continue.
5 days. So I'm just letting everyone know we will extend that, or we'll seek witnesses at a much later date once we can formalize dates for Canada Post to come back.
Those that have been submitted, they will be included, or do they need to be resubmitted?
We'll just resubmit once everything gets sorted, because I'm not quite sure what we're going to be looking at in 45 days or 2 months. Yes. So we'll just resubmit. We'll give everyone lots of time. Ms. Goodrow?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, I don't know what you think, but for me, there's just a series of individuals. There are 13 million addresses across Canada, and there are a lot of worried people. And people are waiting to hear. So, we talk about what was the vote last week. I was expecting us to be able to inform people who are concerned. So I would like to turn the ball back on. I would like Minister Lightbound to be able to come to the committee to answer our questions. Now, is he available on Thursday? My issue is that next week we're not going to be here. It's late. For people who are worried, that's a long time to wait.
There's a lot going on. The minister, my understanding, will be October 30th, so we'll have him after Thanksgiving. And I think we'll have to start there. We had extended 2 invites. We had expressed our concern about getting in as soon as possible. This is the first available date. So I think we will perhaps start asking some of those questions then. Wonderful. If nothing else, thank you very much for everyone's help. Ms. Khalid, welcome again. Congratulations. We are adjourned.
Yeah, but anyway, the PSIC. Oh, right. That was Wednesday that video was taken. So yesterday they had another meeting, and they were speaking with the PSIC, which is the
yes,
where I've sent my disclosure and they investigate. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. I have a ton of video now about what they do, how they do it, how long it's going to take. I was like, they're talking to me when I was watching this yesterday. It was quite interesting. But anyway, at the end of that, after that is when they started getting into the dates of the 23rd and the 30th. And again, that same NP was really, really pushing. I do have the footage, but I don't know. I can't find it at the moment, so I'll have to play it on the next show or whatever. But they just argued back and forth at the end about when it's going to be, and it's this whole. They even argued because they were like, well, what if they can't come in on those dates because of what's going on with the labor thing? And then are we just going to adjourn, or should we have another case, another person on the back burner ready to go? So they sat there and argued about that for a while and blah, 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 blah. And I just was yelling at the screen saying, bring them in.
Yeah.
Grab them, get them in there, get them in a cop car and bring those dudes in to talk to you. Because this is money that, okay, how are they, I wonder if the OGO committee has to approve spending to bring in the changes.
I mean, that would be where it would be discussed. Yeah. They do want to know what this looks like.
Because I haven't heard anybody from their side even contemplate or even talk about the fact that the costs involved with making all these changes and such. anyway, that's
Absolutely.
quite interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my brain stopped with that, so I think we've talked out that subject. So why don't we move back to we'll stay with the OGO committee, and before we go to the PSIC, I wanted to take us back in time to the OGO committee when Doug, I've done this on my previous show a long time ago, but in May of 2024, he sat in front of the OGO committee to explain the financials, right? And this is where all the gushing and the gushing of community hubs and all these things that have now are off the radar. But let's start off with what he said about us, the heroes that work here.
Right.
Oh, make it live. They are heroes.
Wonderful, Mr. Edinger, and you mentioned the word heroes, and I look at the 500 postal workers in Windsor as heroes. They're amazing, and especially during the pandemic, they answered the bell in a huge way. They continue to serve our community with distinction. Just to highlight, 2 years ago, a former postal worker, Mr. Phil Lyons, received a prestigious award in our community, which is the Charles E. Brooks Labor Community Service Award, for being a community leader in Windsor, Essex, serving the community. And so they are heroes. Not only do they carry the mail and deliver the mail, not only do they support our community, homeowners, seniors, and others, but they make our communities better. They give back to our community. And in Budget 2024, the federal government affirmed that Canada Post will continue to be a service-first organization. I just wanted to ask you, what does service-first mean to Canada Post?
Well, thank you for that question. And by the way, before I answer that directly, our employees are absolutely amazing. They are the ambassadors of our brand. They're everywhere, every day. We get tremendous positive feedback. Of course, not all of them are perfect, but they're pretty darn close to it. We really value what they bring to the table, and through COVID, they were amazing. They were on, just to remind everyone, they were on the front lines all through that. They never wavered from their responsibilities to be out there. It was amazing to watch. In terms of service, it's our number 1 through number 10 priority. It is everything to us. It's in law, it's in our mandate, it's in our blood, it's in our purpose, which is a stronger Canada delivered. And our recent investments, where we've tried to control things that are really important to us.
So I just had to stop, because did you love that when he got his little tagline in there? And his eyebrows go up and down a little. I just got to rewind it, because he was waiting. It was like he was waiting for a little applause or something, and he never got it.
It's in law, it's in our mandate, it's in our blood, it's in our purpose, which is a stronger Canada delivered. And our recent investments, where we've tried to control things that are really important to us. We were pleased to open a brand new facility last year in Scarborough, the Albert Jackson Processing Center, named after our first black letter carrier in Canada back in the late 1800s. That was a huge project led by Manon Fortin, I might say, and led very well. And that is the hub of our e-commerce model across Canada. It is an amazing facility, and our service numbers have shot up quite amazingly since then. The transition, the stabilization has been incredible. Our on-time...
What's this about? He's like, oh, our numbers are up. And like, what's he talking about there?
Yeah, I mean,
this is
he's
May
obviously at this
2024.
point selling things. Yeah, he's selling the decisions that they made.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. This is where yesterday when I was watching this, after a few months have passed and all the things that he's done, and I just look at this, and for those of you out there who are angry about whatever's going on with all of us, with the union and all of us right now, just keep this guy in mind, what you just saw him say. And those little eyebrows that went up and down on his little marketing tagline bit. These are the things these guys think about. they don't think about my next pair of shoes because my boot allowance barely covers a half a pair. Like
exactly.
Right now, I'm in the situation, and some people always say I'm always bitching and complaining when I could go and get another job and solve the problem. But really, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get my winter boots, because my pair from last year are done. I need new ones this year. Ice bugs, they cost almost $300. Well,
exactly.
I'm waiting. I keep going, thank God it's not snowing yet, because I need them. I have my pair from last year, but I have the spikes on them. And so those ones were falling out, so I need a new pair. Those ones from last year are the backups, right? But I don't want to keep starting with the backups. The point is, it's this guy's fault. So when those things are happening to you, think about what he just said, how we're heroes, and that, this magic plant, the Albert Jackson, made things go up. Everything was going up in May, yet they're on the same thing. If you go and rewind to January, during this time period, things were dropping. So wonder if the numbers inside that plant were up, yet all those parcels were going to Perlator.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that seems to be what they've been doing.
Yeah,
you know, and not even just
on-time service performance numbers are the best we've ever seen in our history, and we're going for more. Mena has that as part of her goals for the next year or so. But we're getting to best-in-class level on service, and it's everything. That's what we're here for, not only in urban areas, but as we talk here, in rural and remote areas where it is even more important to those folks. I grew up in a rural area. I've lived in rural areas. I know how important the post offices are, and we're all over that.
Yeah, they're all over that, aren't they? They're all over shutting them down.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a traitor to his own rural upbringing. Yeah. Well, since we talked about that, let's jump to the Quebec issues of the rural post offices and the Bloc. I think she was Bloc MP.
Mrs.
asked him
Vignola,
about
go ahead,
this.
please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Edinger, Madame Fortin, Madame Ratchett, I'm so happy to see you here today. I'm sorry I touched the mic. I'm sorry. I apologize to the interpreters. I'm going to come back to the nitty-gritty here. I am the critic in this area. And my colleagues come to me, what's happening with rural post offices in the North Shore, in Île-de-la-Madeleine, and elsewhere, and other areas where I would say the localities are quite central. But here are a few things that I have been told. Villages that are not merged sometimes have streets that have the same name, the same postal code. And the answer that we are given when there's a complaint from Canada Post, change the name of the street. But you understand that's a problem. It's hard to do. And you know that there have been...
That's a really good example, too, of really how the boss solves our problems, which is what's frustrating letter carriers almost every single day, is that when you bring up a problem that can be solved, that needs to be solved, they throw out something like that, almost like a gaslight. Oh, I'll just change the name of the street. You know, and with us, it's, just do a smaller loop. Well, if you come out and follow me, and I've done that smaller loop, and say I've changed the route of travel, route of travel, whatever you call it, I could be in trouble now.
Yeah,
but you told me it was okay to change it, right? So so for those of you out there who are not posties, this is the problem. Again, a lot of wasted money with things that they don't fix. They refuse to fix. Like the door on my depot. I'm curious to see when we get back there if this door, one of the doors, number 28, I think it is on my depot, has a little piece of paper on it says, does not work. And it's been on there since July. So they can't even spend the money to fix the door on the depot. So all of the RSMCs and everybody from from that side, they all have to come out the one side and go to their car that's over here while this one stays closed because nobody can afford to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that. They don't fix the things that need to be fixed to make things, and then they add processes that make no sense. Anyway, that's for all the
post offices that have gone up in flames and so on. So I don't know if this is a problem just limited to the post office or just the security in general. And in northern Quebec, there's another problem. There are more people, but not enough postal boxes. So you might have 2 or 3 families sharing the same post office box. And it is a problem in terms of confidentiality for the mail that they get. And for people who live in the north, they don't get service in their mother tongue. That is one of your mandates. That's part of your mandate. And you know, or at least I hope so, you know the problem of transporting medication in the North Shore, the Lower North Shore, and certain areas in Quebec where there are very few, if any, roads. And Île-de-la-Madeleine, where they have to get all types of supplies, even school supplies, sent by post because there's no other way of getting them. So does Canada Post have a solution in mind for this type of problem, how to solve this problem in the future?
Well, thank you very much. There's 2 or 3 questions in there. I appreciate that. And I'm going to pass it over to Manon Fortin. Again, she is responsible for operations. She's very close to it. But I will say before I do that, that again, it's service, service, service. And that is our number one priority. That's where the majority of our resources go. And we've never had better numbers than we have right now. But there are areas that can be better. So, Manon, over to you.
Thank you, Doug, et merci à Madame Vignola.
Thank you, Madame Vignola, for your question. I'm just going to say, as said my president, that what we try to do, we strive to offer the best possible service everywhere in Canada, in all corners of Canada. Mail delivered at home, the 3,000 mail trucks that are constantly on Canada's roads, and all the post offices that we have here, half of which are in rural areas. Generally, we do good work. But as you have pointed out, it does happen that there are exceptions. I'm not specifically aware of problems with Saint-Hyacinthe, but I do know that there were other problems in your riding. It does happen that there can be service delays, or if, for example, the weather's bad and say an airplane can't take off or land because of that. And we do try to find the solution with the communities that are directly affected by what you outlined. We normally do get the problem solved. Are you talking about Kuchawak? Well, yes, Kuchawak is a good example. As I remember, there are quite a number, 24 or so postal boxes that are required, that they are lacking, and we want to be able to solve this as quickly as possible. We're working on it very hard.
And again, cuts off quickly. So I saw you writing some stuff down. Do you have some thoughts on all of that?
You know, partially I was getting phone calls too, or requests for media. So that was partially what I was doing when I was looking there.
Oh.
But one of the things that I noticed the most is how much they spoke about service. And I couldn't help but cringe when I hear them talking about service and having their little, eyebrows pop up and and everything. And saying that it almost sounded a little bit like Trump with his service. We've never had better numbers, and we strive always to offer the best services. Yet they know. So what that all showed me is that they know that there's a problem, and there's going to be a problem if this is removed in these rural areas. They know it full well, and that they're trying to say
and half
that they're
of them are
doing their
rural
best.
areas. We got half of them.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the ones you're shutting down.
And I came from a rural area, Doug says, and all these different things, right? So they know full well exactly what's going to be happening here. It's just, unfortunately, they're doing it anyway, and that's why I keep feeling like this is, we've made the claim that, well, if this CEO has cost this company this much money, why would he keep his job? I think that he's doing exactly what they're telling him to do and exactly what he's supposed to be doing, and it's an unfortunate thing because it's obvious that they're running it into the ground. How can you say the things that you just said in that committee and still do what you're being told to do now to those communities? There's no way. It does not jive. They know better, and they're doing it on purpose for sure.
Yep. And that is a perfect segue to this next inquisition, because Lindsay Matheson, she really gets in on our position. When I saw this, I said, I got to meet that person. And I did about 3 weeks later. And I said, thank you for grilling this man on May 25th or 29th or whatever, because you knew where you were. She did her homework. So let's just get right to it. And it's all about the expansion of services is what she hits him with.
So as I understand it, and I am new to this conversation, not so new, I guess, to the overall, that Canada Post is going to be proposing the reduction potentially to 3 days a week postal delivery. Now, as I understand it, the union CUPW is actually arguing that instead of looking to that to save money, you consistently talked about that current past business model not working, the flexibility that you need, the expansion, going in an entirely different direction would be the expansion, expanding out and working with the union to ensure that the program that they've had on the books for so long, delivering community power, would look at that expansion, showing the need of Canada Post in terms of postal banking, elder check-ins, community hubs, those charging stations, all of those things. So is that part of the negotiations that you're in now in terms of that change that you're looking to make?
Thank you. Some good questions there. Well, the first thing to stress is we are in active negotiations with CUPW right now, so I can't say too much, but I will say this. Alternative day delivery is not on the table with them. It's not something we're looking at. We understand the program. It actually, at first glance, when you look at it, you say, well, why wouldn't it be reasonable to deliver 2 days a week or 3 days a week? The issue is our network is a collapsed network that carries parcels, direct mail, and letters together. So think about the letter carrier. Even if we only delivered letter every second day, letters, we still have to go through the route, because to be competitive in e-commerce and parcels, we have to be there every day. In fact, the answer to this now, and it does dovetail with what you said, is we need 7-day delivery. That's what we need. We don't need fewer days, but it's mainly to compete on parcels, because that's where that market is.
So it is my understanding that it is my understanding that sorry, mic issues. It is my understanding that the union is entirely open to that suggestion, and they're willing to work with you on that. So again, in terms of that expansion, are you fully looking at expansion? I mean, even food delivery, as we've seen, and that competition that you're talking about from those smaller businesses, it would help with that.
Yeah, sorry, I have to interrupt. We haven't left any time for an answer, I'm afraid, but perhaps...
I have mic issues.
Sorry, but perhaps you can get back to the committee in writing for some of the issues brought.
What do you know?
Yeah, what do you know, eh?
Didn't leave time for the answers.
And for those of you that live in the London, Ontario riding, Lindsay Matheson lost her seat. And if you are posties in that area, if she runs again, or whoever the NDP candidate will be in the next election, vote for her, because she knows what we're going through. Well, vote for the NDP, because I'll make sure that Lindsay tells whoever's there. But the point is that these people that were in that meeting are gone now. And
Yeah, but this person isn't, and this was all about the community hubs. Actually, maybe, I don't know. I would assume this MP ran again, but she
Thank you
had
very
some
much.
questions.
I'm happy to close out our discussion this afternoon or this evening. I guess it's quite late now. So thank you so much for being here and answering our questions. I really want to circle back to the community hub pilots that are happening. I was only aware of 2 locations, so really excited to hear that it's now 4. Specifically, of course, I'm familiar with the Member 2 Nova Scotia one. It's close to my neck of the woods in New Brunswick. And it offers an expanded range of products and services, things like parcel lockers, which you mentioned, self-serve, contactless induction of items to be mailed, access to financial services, the Canada Post My Money loan, remittance services, foreign currency exchange, check cashing, ATMs, also small business support. So there's a mention of rentable meeting rooms, public wireless internet access, and access to computers. So this is remarkable to me, especially at a time when we're talking about, there are other closures that we're seeing, or other rural communities that are not seeing these kinds of investments or this kind of, I think, energy put into modernizing or meeting the needs of a community. And so I'm just curious, what's the process? How did this happen, and how can we ensure that this expands?
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, you're right. Member 2 is probably the closest one to you. You're in Fredericton, I believe. Great city, by the way. And we're so proud of those 4. As I mentioned, Member 2, High Prairie, Alberta, Fort Capel, Saskatchewan, and Little Current, which is Manitoulin Island. The key thing on those is we engaged the local First Nations community right at the beginning of the project. And we wanted them to design the post offices with their culture in mind, with their artifacts, with their artwork, with their, color palettes and so on. And you missed one thing on the list, though. They have a podcast center in Member 2. So the whole idea behind that is to make them more relevant in like a community gathering spot where you got Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, you got resources for small businesses. It's really to help those small businesses connect with one another, network with one another. I was there with Chief Terry Paul when we opened Member 2. He was so happy about it, so was I. And we're monitoring those results, and we're learning from them, and we're trying to adjust. And Iqaluit is another example of that, where part of the intent for Iqaluit was for small business there too, so that they can, when you're starting a small business, it's a lonely venture. You may know that. And they need all the help they can get. So we can put them in touch with BDC, we can put them in touch with lawyers, whatever they need. We want to be the resource that really adds value. And that's our vision for the post office of the future, that it's got more stickiness. We're adding more value for these entrepreneurs.
And are there additional costs incurred by the community for these extra services? And are there new builds, or these existing kind of
they're a little bit of both, but Member 2, for example, was a new build. I think Manitoulin was a new build. Iqaluit is a new build. The others were refurbishment, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, it's brand new looking and very different than what it was before. But again, the idea is selfishly for us to build loyalty with those small businesses. Sometimes those small businesses turn into big businesses, and we want to be part of that journey. We want to help them. And we have a program called Solutions for Small Business. We have 500,000 members that are all small businesses. So we're trying to tap into those folks and connect to the community hubs.
Excellent. And we also mentioned a little bit about, how Canada Post is looking at, carbon offsets, for example, and kind of really taking responsibility for the climate crisis. And I'm sure, there's also, the impending impacts that we're already dealing with. And so I'm looking at some of the issues around, service interruptions that occurred last year because of floods or forest fires, how long they lasted, the costs that were associated with this. We also noticed that, of course, in Lytton, BC, that it disrupted service. So what kind of mitigation plans are in place as far as, preventative measures or being prepared for these kinds of emergencies?
Wonderful question. Unfortunately, it's really good question, but I'll let Manal answer that. That group and her operations team are the ones on the ground that deal with that.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for the question. So being in thousands of communities across Canada means that we're exposed to what the community is exposed as well, and that can come through the form of extreme weather events. It could be a wildfire. and other, and we have become really good at finding, well, first keeping our employees safe, and then being as quick as possible to provide contingencies for the Canadians who live in those communities to still be able to receive their mail, and to restore service as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yep. Whoops.
It's interesting to hear them talk about community hubs in the way that they do, because it's obviously more not greenwashing. Well, some of it is greenwashing because obviously there's an environmental aspect to it as well, but they're obviously making it seem like they're all on board. The community hub stuff, all of that comes from our language, right? I remember when we were doing the campaign in 2021 and they were installing these, and there's discussion about, the fact that they're using our language. And that's okay, because ultimately when we want them to implement it, they're not going to give CUPW credit. They're just going to do it themselves. But that being said, so it's okay that they use that language, but they're using our language and our intent. But it seems like they're going the exact opposite in what they were saying.
Yeah.
Just give me a second, Jim, if you want to just chat. I'll be
sure,
1 second.
Yeah, no worries. Oh my goodness. I'm like making everything dance here. Posing arguments. So I'm bringing this up here because of the fact that we're talking about community hubs and expanding services, and this is the income that we keep talking about that we could be generating. And in the Kaplan report, he says about all of our ideas, I think it was here. Here we go. The critiques of CUPW's proposals. Kaplan dismisses unions' proposals as aspirational and unrealistic. So if they're aspirational and unrealistic, then why did Doug go through all of that? Why have they spent money on piloting all of these community hubs? And why does, as he puts it, they even have a podcast center? So, so this is what he actually wrote. CUPW's proposals did not work. CUPW's proposals, did not work. Canada Post observed. I didn't notice that, comma. CUPW's proposals did not work, Canada Post observed. First, there was the existing rigid collective agreement restrictions, which I'm not sure what that means. Canada Post needed to immediately offer competitive 7-day-a-week parcel delivery, and the collective agreement did not provide it with mechanisms to do so, which is literally just verbatim. He doesn't even think. It's like he's just saying exactly what Doug would say. But here's the big thing. CUPW's undetailed generalized proposals about how to grow the business was aspirational and unrealistic. CUPW and its proposals, whether intentional or not, intentional or not, like he's putting doubt in us, were tone deaf to the immediate challenge.
Tone deaf, like that's not even professional.
Like folks, this is the commission report that they're going to make all the changes based off of. Like literally, they keep saying this, what he wrote right there is what they're following. This is the new Bible. I cannot believe it. Like, and I've read this a few times, and it's really making me even more crazy now than it ever has. Like recapture and then retain. Oh my gosh. Like, needed to be done to recapture, then retain a meaningful share in the parcel delivery market by making immediate, necessary, and appropriate adjustments. This was written in May. And these information was gathered in February and January. Where is this meaningful share of parcel delivery marketing happening? Like, they've ignored doing all of this entire time. Because why? Folks, your service sucks right now because of this. They've stalled. They've wasted money to make this little piece of paper decide the future to your rural post office. Can you believe it? This is why I'm disgusted. And this is a fantastic segue into my my PSIC thing and the inquisition yesterday of the PSIC. Let me just stop sharing this. So for those of you out there who do not know yet and are posties and, well, actually anybody, I actually had a regular customer send me a picture yesterday of something that they thought was delivered by Purelator that was actually ours. But unfortunately, it wasn't. It was done right and it was up. But then they probably were charged a lot more than they would have through Canada Post. The whistleblowers. So I've submitted a disclosure to the PSIC. And so what is the PSIC and what do they do? Well, let's hear from the I guess you would call her the executive director, the president of the PSIC, the chair. I'm not sure, but this is what they do, and what they're going to do with my submission, and hopefully an investigation
welcome
into
back,
that.
Ms. Soloway and Mr. Redford. We have you in for the hour for just a brief in the update. We'll start with a 5-minute opening statement from you. Your statement has been distributed in both languages to the committee as well as other supporting documents that all the committee members have. So welcome back, both of you. I look forward to your testimony today. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I'm grateful for the opportunity to address the committee today. Le Commissariat à l'intégrité du secteur public du Canada est un organisme impartial.
The Office of the Public Sector Integrity Commission of Canada is an impartial, investigative, and quasi-judicial decision-making body. As an agent of Parliament, the office works in the public interest to expose major wrongdoing in the federal public sector. We investigate, and it investigates and renders decisions regarding disclosures of alleged wrongdoing, such as gross mismanagement, serious breaches of code of conduct, and as well as alleged reprisals suffered by the public servants.
Or witnesses, after careful analysis of the facts and the law, I render a quasi-judicial decision that is subject to judicial review. Investigation reports of 80 pages are not uncommon, and decisions often exceed 30 pages. This work is accomplished by 9 lawyers who also have other duties, including in-house counsel, as well as 6 investigators and 3 team leaders. 4 admissibility analysts, with the support of the legal team, provide me with recommendations on questions of admissibility. My decisions on admissibility are also subject to judicial review. Depuis 2023, le commissariat observe une hausse.
Since 2023, the office has seen a sustained increase in submissions. No plateau in sight. Small budget increases in 2024 have allowed us to increase output, but our funding fails far short of needs. For example, in 2025, I've rendered approximately 350 admissibility decisions on some 800 allegations, more than the 327 submissions received for the entirety of 2024. Despite increased productivity, we continue to fall behind as new submissions far exceed the completion rate. Currently, we have nearly 300 active files, approximately 66 investigations into 163 allegations. In 2024, following investigations, I rendered decisions on 56 separate allegations.
Complaints. I cannot overstate the importance of providing whistleblowers, respondents, and other parties with reasoned decisions based on thorough investigations, regardless of whether or not there's a finding of wrongdoing. That is at the heart of our raison d'etre and is critical in maintaining trust in our public institutions. Whistleblowers must be able to see that their concerns are our concerns and that no stone is left unturned. With our current level of funding, there is a risk that some allegations may never see the light of day. Consequently, my office is preparing to submit a request for urgently needed support. En tant qu'agent indépendant de Parlement, je me dois de...
As an independent agent of Parliament, I have the duty to highlight to you, members of Parliament, that the current budget process has potential to place my independence at risk. I appeal for a review of that process. Our budget requests are submitted through the President of the Treasury Board and the Minister of Finance before submission to the Treasury Board for consideration. This process opens a door for public servants having significant influence over the time and the substance what is ultimately presented to Treasury Board and then to Parliament. As our commission has jurisdiction over public servants in these departments, this can create a real or apparent conflict of interest. To be clear, I am not alleging that any public servant has acted inappropriately, yet the risk and the possible perception are very real.
Only the independence of the office, but also the appearance of independence, Parliament itself should determine the office's budget. The Public Servants Disclosure Protection Act notes that it is in the public interest to maintain and enhance public confidence in the integrity of public servants. The Act is one of the many vital checks and balances to enhance public confidence, and delays in investigations not only impact the quality of those investigations, but also can have a negative effect on the confidence in the federal public sector. We owe all Canadians a duty to expose wrongdoing. At the same time, we owe every person who places their trust in us, including those who are themselves accused of wrongdoing, an impartial and timely outcome based on a serious consideration of all the facts. Je vous remercie de m'avoir permis de m'adresser à ce committee.
I thank you for the opportunity to address this committee and welcome any questions you may have.
So yeah, so that's the deal there, and so it might take longer than the 90 days that I was hoping for. But at least it's going to start something, hopefully. And what I found out later on in all of these hearings is that there's an actual Canada Post ombudsman that is involved with that is working with the PSIC, or a PSIC ombudsman for Canada Post. So hopefully that'll get us pushed in away from all the other things, because there's someone already there, kind of. Anyway, so. But the big thing, though, with my submission and why we need help from everybody is that we have to prove wrongdoing for them to investigate, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is what their definition of wrongdoing is, because it's really important for us to be able to prove it. And this is just to get them to investigate. And then I'm going to leave the PSI other stuff for now because we're running out of time. But I will be posting the whole thing together separately on the YouTube page for you guys to watch everything. So, but this is what wrongdoing is according to the Public Service Integrity Commission. It's not even just that we look at
wrongdoing. It is the definition of wrongdoing under the Act. It's critical to understand that it's the type of wrongdoing that is of an order of magnitude that could shake public confidence in the public sector. So it is not every wrongdoing that somebody could perpetrate. It is a wrongdoing that is of such that has so much import. Those are the types of things that we investigate, as opposed to individuals' issues, which typically ombuds people do.
My next question is.
So there you go. So let's hope that they will find that there's wrongdoing here and that it's affected. In my opinion, everything that's going on right now is exactly what they should be investigating, and is exactly that definition of what she just said, because it's affecting the public, right?
Wrongdoing that is so important that would shake confidence in the public sector. Now, it just seems like that's deliberately what's happening. It's deliberately being done that way.
Exactly.
You know? Probably, obviously, that's the reason you're doing what you're doing, but it's just like, you know, she said it right there, and it seems like we've got enough, or at least I shouldn't speak for the investigation, but it just seems like in the public's eye, out there in front of us, in the news, in our everyday lives, there's enough evidence of that. It seems clear that they're deliberately shaking the confidence in the public sector.
Yep.
Because of what, you know, that's why you did this well, with starting it with Carney talking about the private sector. You know,
exactly.
That shows you something.
Exactly. And then exactly. And all I see in my head, if I could I should make the video. I'll make it a little thing now to put in there every once in a while, so we get the private sector. But they thought it was like they went from 0 to 50 or 100, and it was incredible to see them just get so crazed over the private sector, and I was literally taken aback when I first saw it. But
look at all their faces next time you see it. Just look directly at all the faces of everybody else. I'm sure you have already, but just seeing how happy everybody was. Every one of those ministers was just been overjoyed.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I'm just gonna change the mood here a little bit. Well, I don't know if it's changing the mood, but
this is Joanne Lightbound, one of
Mark
Mark Carney's lapdogs and Canada's Minister of Government Transformation. He recently made waves by announcing sweeping, unrealistic changes to Canada Post, which led the union to say, "Yeah, no, we're on strike now." Now, I am somebody who is very rarely surprised by the shit that comes out of politicians' mouths, but with a title like Minister of Government Transformation, you have to wonder, what exactly does Buddy Boy over here and Mark Carney want to transform the government into? And he said something very alarming while discussing the changes to Canada Post while on CTV's Power Play that makes it clear that what they're transforming the government into is some sort of crypto-militaristic state.
I think attrition is enough. Like, is that being honest with Canadians?
I think there will be adjustments. Attrition is, the objective is through attrition, but there will be adjustments. But at the same time, there are other opportunities presenting. We're hiring in the Canadian Armed Forces. The defense sector will be, for us to meet our target, will be...
Excuse the fuck me? This guy, in answering a line of questioning about thousands of Canadians no longer having access to jobs in the public service or losing their jobs in the public service, says, well, the military's hiring.
Yeah. So I guess that was a little bit of some comedy for you.
It is. It's maddening, though. I feel exactly how he felt. I know when I heard that, too, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Yeah. No, don't worry. We're hiring in other places, including the Army.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, folks, if you do have some evidence, you couldn't see the contact information for the whistleblowers, but you could also send it here to the Silver Bullet Podcast hotline. You can leave a voicemail or email me your evidence at piratejim_72@pseudomail.com. And to end the show, because I know we both have stuff we got to get going and doing, we're gonna meet a gentleman who's running for the leadership of the NDP, and he is the union president of the dock workers in BC, I think.
ILW.
Anyway,
yeah.
He's I'm pretty excited. I mean, who knows if he'll become the leader? But why is this not letting me share? Because I've got it on here still. Let's preview. There we go. All right. So, but it's exciting because we can get our message out there during this leadership race. And it's not just about finding a leader, it's about finding the direction of the party. And right now, workers like you and I and everyone out there, we have the opportunity to shape this party and to make it be what we need it to be. And Rob's going to has some fantastic ideas as a union leader. And him bringing those in to the mix during these leadership debates is going to be exciting. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it'll rub off on whoever becomes leader, whether it's him or not. So here, this is the interview with him.
The race to be the next leader of the federal NDP is starting to take shape. The Canadian president of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, Rob Ashton, is the latest candidate to launch his campaign. The leadership race already includes current Alberta NDP MP Heather McPherson and activist Avi Lewis.
We are Canada's party. We were built by farmers and urban workers coming together, and we need to reconnect with both.
Time to put hope before fear, to offer solutions as big as the crises we face, to fling the doors open and build a party for the 99%.
Okay, so for more on his NDP leadership bid, I'm joined now by Rob Ashton. Rob Ashton, congratulations on getting into the race, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you've identified yourself as a worker, not as a politician. Why does a worker want to go into politics?
Well, quite frankly, we're all sick and tired of the Liberals and the Conservatives handing out lies every election and then leaving workers in the dust as the rich get richer.
I mean, that's a short, succinct answer. I mean, you said you want the party to get back to its roots, fighting for working people. This has been part of the conversation about what has happened with the New Democrats as they had this tough election result. A lot of private sector union voters, quite frankly, have gone conservative and moved away from the NDP. Is that what you're talking about there?
Yeah, so when the NDP was founded, way back well before I was born, it was built on workers. And we've kind of strayed away from that. Whether it was by accident or on purpose, I don't know. I wasn't involved with the party that much, except a voter. But what we have to do is we have to start engaging with our members. We have to have those conversations because we have to win them back. Because somehow, some way, they've lost faith in us, and we have to get them back.
You say you strayed away from that. Where do you think you strayed to? You know, because maybe I'm oversimplifying things, and feel free to correct me if you disagree, but there was sort of that trade unionist NDP cohort, and then sort of the urban progressive NDP cohort, and it seems it tilted more towards like an urban progressive kind of focus in the last little way. I mean, how do you see it, and how do you see the tension between those two things, or is there one?
No, I don't think there's a tension. I think what we need to do is we have to learn how to talk to our members again. We have to learn how to talk to working Canadians again. What we've seen in the past is we've seen conservative governments utilize our playbook in talking to working Canadians. And it's something that we've stopped doing as a party. We've seen a career politician walking into shop floors and pretending to be a worker. And we haven't been doing that. We haven't been actually going in as workers, as members of the working class, saying, we know your issues, we know your problems, and we're going to help fix them. And that's what I bring to the party when I get elected leader, is I've been representing workers for 30 years. I can walk onto a shop floor, whether it's in a mine, a dock, into an office tower, and I can have those honest conversations. I can have those conversations about how hard it is to live in today's society. And the Conservatives have been pretending that they know how to have those conversations.
Well, I mean, it's worked. I mean, whether they're pretending or not, they do have candidates who come from working class backgrounds and different kinds of backgrounds, right? I mean, Mr. Poilievre's been a career politician, but he didn't come from a life of privilege necessarily. So, I mean, you said you've been a dock worker, right? And you're now a union leader. I mean, is that the secret sauce of your campaign, coming from that kind of a background?
I've been learning that there's no such thing as secret sauce in politics. I think it's what I offer. I offer a realism to a campaign. I offer the ability to engage with workers, to know what's happening out there. I represent workers in a vast variety of industries. Some get paid pretty good, some don't. And when I talk to those members that are on the lower end of the wage scale, they tell me how hard it is. They tell me what they need. They're kids that are going to university. They're taking out loans so that they can go to university. And then they have to pay them back when they come out of school. They're not able to get jobs. Right? So this is the type of stuff that my members are telling me. And I want to bring that to politics. I want to be the voice of Canadians in the House, of working Canadians.
You know, you're in British Columbia. There's a NDP government in BC, opposition in Alberta, and in Saskatchewan, government in Manitoba. Federally, though, the party's in pretty rough shape after the last election. I know the NDP has had these moments in their history, and they've come back from it. But there is this polarization that is kind of happening at least in English Canada, between the Liberals and the Conservatives. How worried are you about the future viability of your party in the short to medium term, given that kind of dynamic?
I think we'll be okay, because what we're showing right now in Ottawa is our 7 MPs that we currently have in office, they're actually helping change the course of history. They are still producing bills that are going to change how we run business in Ottawa. We are still being the voice of the Canadian citizens. If you look at the last parliament, the NDP was the party that brought forward the dental care. The NDP was the party that brought forward the pharmacare. The NDP was the party that brought the anti-scab legislation. Mm-hmm. So we are the ones still fighting. Now, going forward, whoever the leader is that's elected, hopefully me, it's going to be that leader's responsibility to meet Canadians where they're at, to go to them and to have these conversations and to find out where it went wrong.
Well, on that, I mean, you're right that there were a lot of policy successes in the last parliament. And Jagmeet Singh was able to get a lot of those things done because of the supply and confidence agreement. And then when the election came, the party was either punished for it or abandoned in spite of it, right? So, I mean, so what lesson do you take from that, regardless of the good work that the caucus may have done to advance the interests of Canadians, there was no payoff, in fact, may have been punishment?
I think a lot of it had to do with strategic voting. You know, people are saying, well, we can't have Pierre in as prime minister, so instead of voting for the party that we choose, we're going to vote for the Liberals to try to keep Pierre and the Conservatives out of power. And that we've seen that a couple of times throughout our history. But what we're going to bring in the next election and elections going on in the future is no need for strategic voting. Because we're going to give the Canadian people a party that's not a political party, but it's going to turn into a movement. Because that's what this country's missing, is a political party that's a movement. Something that we haven't seen for a very long time, where the people of Canada get behind us because we have good policies, because we're talking to them, and because we're leading this country with kindness in our heart and love in our heart, and not sowing seeds of division.
There's often a debate, just as a final point, Rob Ashton, if you become the leader of the party and the leader of this movement that you hope to craft, do the New Democrats want to be the conscience of Parliament, or do they want to win, right? And Jack Layton wanted to win, and he got the closest of anyone. But other than that, it's been the conscience of Parliament to make the gains you've highlighted. What would you want to do if you're the leader of this party?
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said that when I get elected as leader on March 29th, that I don't want to become prime minister. Of course, I want the NDP in power because I want Canadians to actually be helped in this country. I want the NDP to run this country on behalf of Canadians, by Canadians, because I'm sick and tired of having Conservatives and Liberals ruling on behalf of bankers and ruling on behalf of corporations and special interest groups. We're going to win, plan on running for prime minister, but I'm going to say this, is I understand that we're in a tough spot with 7 seats.
Right.
So whomever wins as leader, we have to go and regain the confidence of Canadians. Like I said before, we have to create a movement. And I plan on being that person that goes and regains the confidence of Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
How about
those open and hard conversations?
How about Quebec as the last question? How's your French, Rob Ashton?
My French, how I describe it, I'll probably get bleeped out on national TV.
It's a family show.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm taking courses right now. I'm surrounding myself with Francophones. I do believe that I have a lot of work ahead of me to learn French, but I'm in it to do the hard work because our family, our Francophone family, mean a lot to me, mean a lot to our country, and to not put in the effort to learn French when you're running as leader of a national party and eventually running to be leader of this country, if you don't even try to learn French and if you don't become fluent in it, you're doing a disservice to a very great part of our country.
Well, Rob Ashton, I appreciate a candid answer without the profanity, and we didn't have the bleep. It was good to meet you. Good luck in the campaign. That's NDP leadership candidate Rob Ashton. Thank you, sir.
Thank you kindly.
So that's why all of us out there, all the posties, all of the Canadians, contact your MP and tell them to vote for this bill. Don't vote it down. Vote for this bill, and let's get Section 107 out of there for all of the workers, for all of the airline stewards. We just gotta do something.
Section 107 is unbelievable, and obviously they should be looking at sections 108 and 109 as well. But Section 107 is the one that sort of gives the minister unlimited power, and it's crazy when you read it. It sort of says, I don't have it up here, but it says to do what the minister wishes, essentially anything that the minister orders, to the CIRB, and that's authoritarian and totalitarian in nature. The difference
and now
is,
they're going to change the whole post office as well this way, just by reading a report.
But just as Leah Gazan said, who I've met and who's incredible, she's always been a supporter. It's, these are, it's unconstitutional you can have your power, as a minister, but you cannot supersede the Constitution. You cannot supersede the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And unfortunately, that is what they did. And it was good. I'm glad you showed that video about Rob, because Rob, he came to our line. He's been on many different lines. In Saskatoon, there was an NDP, a provincial NDP leadership conference convention, but there was also some of the leadership candidates, and he was one of them for the federal NDP. Cool. And he came to the line, and it was really cool to I'm not sure when that was shot, if it was before or after we talked, but it was really neat because him and I talked a lot about strategic voting. And how that has been a major problem for us in the past. And so it was really nice to hear that, being that it's, obviously he's taking, and I'm not saying he's not thinking of this on his own, but I'm just saying he's taking the conversations that are being had out there on the lines, and he's representing it in the news. And I thought that was really good to see, because we spoke specifically about the idea of strategic voting and how that's really a downfall for us, because we really vote like we're in the United States, as if we're voting for a person, or as if we're voting for a leader or a head of state. But we're not. We're voting for government, and actually to have, and many may not know the difference, but we don't have a head of state that we vote for here. We vote based on parliamentary procedure, essentially, and what I mean is that it's party discipline is the word that I'm looking for. So it goes by party, and it goes by their platforms. And so really, if we were voting via the platforms, then we would have a whole different story. And a third party is not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing, because we can have, as we've seen, a third party that can sit there and create a lot of issues in Parliament, create bills that are good for Canadians, because we have a third party that holds them accountable. But you never know, if more people voted that way instead of, anybody but Carney or anybody but Poilievre, then you wouldn't have people leaving their traditional voting and moving over to the Liberals and getting us where we are right now. You would have a strong third party, or maybe that quote-unquote third party could govern, because it was the same conversation. I'm not an elite. I'm a worker. I've always been a worker. I've always been in the middle class, and most of us are, and that's the only party that speaks to it. Unless there becomes another party that speaks to it better or whatever, this is the party of the workers. This is the party that we have, and I've always voted that way because of that. Because, so some of the things he said, bringing it back to workers' issues, right? The fact that they're still introducing bills, fighting for the voice of Canadians. It was really good to hear him talk about meeting Canadians where they're at. I mean, here in a union, we talk about that all the time. The most important thing we can do is meet people where they're at. So it was really good to see. I had a really good conversation with Rob, and it was really nice to hear that interview, because he echoed a lot of what it was that we said. So it really shows a sort of a real genuine nature to him. I know that Avi in the past has been a supporter of our issues too, especially on the sort of the more green front. But I know Heather has been a total stalwart for us, has absolutely been in there fighting for our issues, along with Leah and along with, these other members, Dawn Davies, and all, many different members of the NDP that were, either previous leaders or leaders now. So it's not meant to be a pitch or a political discussion that I'm having, but more so to say, hey, look, if we want to vote in, our interests, we have to really look at party platforms. We have to look at the, people like Rob and Heather and people that are willing to do this for us, and make sure that they get in, and not be worried about the fact that this could be a third party or we're throwing our vote away. Not in Canada. You're not throwing your vote away at all. You're voting for your party. And then if that becomes a third party, it is not a waste. Minority governments, yes, they move slow sometimes, but they hold power in check as much as absolutely possible. So, I mean, if anything, that's my pitch for today. We need to get rid of strategic voting and this idea that anybody but, that's not, I've never voted that way, and I don't think we should, because that's why we get the mess that we're in right now.
Yep. And I mean, when I ran the message that Ron, I keep calling him Ron, Rob, that was exactly my message. I am a worker, and I'm tired of the career politicians. I'm tired of the lawyers and all those people that can't relate to us, because to them, oh, you got to come up with $3,000 for insurance. Oh, okay, there you go. Well, people like us, we can't just pull out $3,200 for insurance out of our back pocket. We could have. I could have maybe 5 years ago with this business, working for Canada Post, but not anymore. Everything's gone up so much. It's impossible.
I think that's the big thing.
I have to pay monthly. So
I think that's the big thing. And I took a course when I was in university with Roy Romano, and he had already been long retired, but he was the former premier of Saskatchewan as an NDP premier a long time in the 90s. And I remember him, mentioning you got to follow the bouncing ball of money, and that's where where it goes, because politicians, or I should say governments, they have a direct line to public funding, and who do they serve? Right, the Liberals and the Conservatives obviously serve elites, and so when the money is made available, it goes to those groups. If you have a party that's there for the workers, for the middle class, well, that money can be redistributed back to the middle class, and that's the biggest thing. We're not elites. I'm not an elite. I never have been. We need to elect the party that's going to take that money and redistribute it back to the people, rather than redistribute it to their elite donors, their elite friends, because we have to follow the bouncing ball of the money. That's what they are looking for. That's what that's what governments do when they get in power.
And our elite CEO, Doug Ettinger, needs to go. And I had a little thing come in. There's a little investigation. I was like, I don't think I have time, but I just got this email a little while ago, and we might have some more good stuff for my disclosure, because governance and ethical concerns in the appointment of Andre Hudon, chair of Canada Post.
Yep.
This briefing raises serious questions about the Government of Canada's vetting process and ethical standards in appointing senior executives to federal crown corporations. Mr. Andre Hudon, currently chair of the board of Canada Post Corporation, was subject to a disciplinary sanction by the Ordre de... it's French. I'm not going to make that bad for you, everyone. In May 2022, related to violations of professional ethics and independence in accounting practices. Accounting practices, what do you mean that these financials have been audited by the Attorney General, or whatever they always like to say, right? Like, how can you question the budgets and the audits of the government? How dare you? Background: Hudon appointed to the board of directors in Canada Post 2022, May 31st. The CPA ordered, he was appointed in July 2021. May 2022, the CPA ordered issued a formal decision finding Mr. Hudon guilty of professional misconduct for issuing financial review reports without performing required procedures in violations of CPA Code of Ethics. He got a 2-month suspension of a CPA license, a publication of decision and cost of order, I don't know. And then 2024, the Government of Canada confirmed Mr. Hudon as chair of the board. Okay. So, issues of concern. Ethical vetting failure. The federal appointment process appears to have failed to flag or act upon a recent professional disciplinary record, undermining public trust in the transparency of sounds familiar. Public accountability gap. The government's integrity screening process may not include professional disciplinary data, enabling individuals with serious ethical violations to assume leadership of major public institutions. Perception of political preference. The appointment raises questions of political favoritism and disregard for public service integrity. So there you go, folks. We got them. We got more. It's going to take a long time. And like I said to somebody on Facebook, sure, I'm going back to rotating strikes on Monday. But our fight is just started. Because once someone gets whiffed, once somebody finally, we have so many more people on our side than Doug does, and it just has to play out because we have to take down the rich. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, my friend, I think that's it. We got to get back to life, I guess. But
yes, I appreciate it, Jim, and the conversation. And I'll just end on the note of saying, we talked about elite Doug. Well, let's just not forget that the corporations that I think that we're serving, or at least that Doug Ettinger is serving by doing this, are companies like Amazon, who look at our state-owned enterprise, our crown corporation, as a hindrance because we offer, good wages, good benefits, and lower costs. And obviously, when you are a large multinational corporation like Amazon, trying to take over an entire country's delivery sector and logistics sector, that just gets in your way. And so that, to me, seems to be what exactly it is that they're doing. They're getting the crown corporation out of the way so that they can take over. So that's what the Liberal government is doing. It seems to me, who the Liberal government is serving. The large multinational corporation run by Jeff Bezos. And so here we are, unfortunately. And thank you, Jim, for all the time to chat about this and for giving me some time here.
No worries. And I love chatting with you. And, well, we'll do it again real soon. And everybody keep the faith, solidarity.
Solidarity, my friend. Thank you.
Hui ho kako aloha.
The Silver Bullet Podcast with your host, letter carrier, and shop steward, Pirate Jim.
My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner's son. And I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won. Which side are you on?